Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Mike.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. And today we are doing top 10 two-player games of all time. But we're doing it a little bit different this week. Mike, how are we doing our list this week?
We're kind of doing a conglomerate list. Instead of each of us giving you our own separate top 10, we've all discussed and agreed on what our channel's favorite two-player games are.
Yeah. Now, Dan wasn't here to add stuff. Spencer wasn't here to add stuff.
Yeah, Dan's going to be disappointed about one that moved to a non-honorable mention, but it happens.
And I think he would acknowledge that, you know, if he were here, it would definitely be on the list. And that's fine. We'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, so we got together, we went through, we just named off a ton of two-player games or games that play really well at two players. Kind of went through yes, no, made a few arguments for why this should be higher or lower, and settled on this definitive list, which will never change until next time we do this list.
This is our definitive three-player, two-player game list.
Well done, sir. Well done. Before we get into the list, let me just say, if you find this kind of content fun and amusing, please consider liking, subscribing, doing all of those things. We do have a Patreon if you'd like to support the show financially and help us keep making these awesome videos. But if that's not your bag or you don't want to, that's fine, or you can't afford it. Also, we get it. Leave us a comment. Let us know what some of your favorite two-player games are. We really do appreciate that. Mike and I do a live stream every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We cover all kinds of stuff, not just board games. We also cover 80s characters and robots and all kinds of wild things like that. We have an awesome Discord channel as well. A really good community there, and so hop in there. Join the fun.
And tell us what we missed. I'm sure we didn't get them all. I already know of a few that did not make our list that people are going to give us a hard time for, but we're here for that. Well, tell us what we didn't talk about. There are some
notable two-player games that none of us have played. So
yes.
We can't rightfully put it on a list if we haven't played it. So.
Also true. And there are just, I don't know, there's some games that are not two-player games that we put on here. Like, not specifically two-player games.
Two-player exclusive games.
Correct.
Someone's like, two players is the best count to play it at.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. That's how we did the whole list right there. You just saw it.
Yeah, that was the process.
All right, boys. I'm going to get it started. We ready?
Yep.
Number 10. Number 10. I have to put this on here. I'm a champion for this game because I really do enjoy it. I take it places. I teach people because it takes 5 minutes. And that is Pocket Paragons from Solus Game Studios. This is a two-player game. It's kind of rock, paper, scissory. You've got a hand of cards. They're asymmetric. They're going to kind of do different things, but they do have symbols on them. And then when you play that card, some symbols counteract other symbols, right? So there's like 5 different ones, and there's kind of a wheel. This counters that, blah, blah. And there's a card that you can play to rest or recover to pick up all your cards. And there's a card that you can play that will kill somebody if they play their rest card and you play your execute card at the same time. And then you can build up power for like a big ability. And again, all the different characters play differently. They have got stuff for Acquisitions Incorporated. I'm blanking.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different like flavors.
A lot of content.
A lot of content for it.
There's like fantasy based. There's like an anime based one.
Yes.
If you like Voltron type of stuff, Gundam. There's like that kind of.
There's lots of really cool IPs all tied in here.
Flavor,
Massiverse is in there now. The art looks great. The rules are very straightforward, very easy. And like I was just recently at the local convention, PoppyCon, and Charlwood and I played like 2 or 3 rounds while we were just waiting for other people to show up.
Nice.
So we just were like, okay, you want pre-rack or you want to play the same character? You want to, different characters?
Yeah.
So it was fun. I enjoy this game in all its variations quite a bit.
And they expanded this universe into the Space Lion, which is a 4-player lane battler, which was excellent as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but that's better with more than 2 players.
It is.
Correct. So it's not on this list.
No.
It's not on this list. It's a fantastic game. Not on this list for different reasons. Okay, so number 10.
Yeah.
Pocket Paragons.
Yep. Takes us down to
number 9. Which is High Treason, the Trial of Louis Riel.
Yes.
Victory Point Games, 2016 release.
Yes.
This is a game that Mike hasn't played yet.
No.
But Bob and I have.
Yes, that's right. We have.
I got outvoted. This is a conglomerate list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun, though.
Oh, man. So somebody's playing as prosecution, the other person's playing as the defense, and you are trying to sway the jurors.
Yes.
And, it's
Using
really
some
tough.
secret information as to, like, where do they work, what kind of religion are they, what's their nationality, and so you're trying to, because different people are going to want different things for different types of reasons, and
this man was responsible for a civil war, like helping lead and start a civil war in Canada, Western
yes.
Canada, and
based on a true story.
yeah, it's all the characters in there are actual people that were involved in the trial, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Because I believe it. If I remember correctly, this was like the second time. Like they caught him the second time.
They caught
he
him
got away
once.
the first
All right,
time.
I'm gonna let you go, but don't do it again. You did it again.
Well, I can't believe he did that.
Oops, all rebellions.
Yeah. Who knew that Lewis was going to start another rebellion?
Yeah, he did.
Yep,
Yeah.
totally did.
Well, I don't know, maybe because the defense could plead insanity.
Yeah, there's all
insanity
kinds of
plea is
different.
actually one of the legit.
You can steer. You
strategies
can try
you
to
could go
steer the
for.
trial to create
It
enough
was just a
doubt.
really neat way of trying to earn votes and make sure opinions are certain ways, because then it might look like you're going to get the vote in your way, but when you flip things over, depending on who's got more pull for what, like you could not be.
It can shift.
Yeah, it could really shift, man. It was really interesting gameplay.
Yeah, it was very cool. This is a game that nobody's heard of.
Nobody's heard of it.
And everybody should check it out.
Yep.
If that sounds interesting
Yep.
to you, like it's a really cool slice of history
Built
that
for two players.
that Bob and I had no idea anything
Yeah.
about. I mean, we're from northern Indiana, so we're not really up
Not
on
huge
our
on the Canadian history.
Yeah, but I mean they've got really like
Apparently
every
they got one too.
yeah,
Who knew?
like every country, they've all got really interesting histories and storied pasts that you should open yourself up to and learn
Yeah.
about. But yeah, High Treason, man.
Yeah.
Great game.
Good game. All right, it takes us to number 8. Number 8 is another one that Tim and I like to hit on quite a bit. GKR.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Giant Killer Robots
Giant Killer
from
Robots.
Weta Workshop. Mike, have you played this yet?
No.
2 in a row. 2 in a row. But Bob and I felt very
Mike.
strongly,
We did.
very strongly about this one.
This whole list is just games that Tim and I play against each other that Mike's like, I wish I could play that. Yeah, you should play. It's really cool.
Yeah, we're having a great time over here, Mike. Next time you should play.
You should play this two-player game sometime.
Yeah, this game is so much fun. It's very tongue-in-cheek with the theme
Yeah.
because you have sponsors that can come down, give you
Almost
sponsor
Hunger
cards.
Games, kind of.
Yeah, and then the way that you can
build
sort
your
of
loadout.
customize your mech.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have these different weapon systems you're gonna get to choose from at the start of the game, and you're gonna make a deck out of those. You can't use everything.
Right.
And then your board, like the way the damage works, and like you build up like heat, and you got to cool down, and different cards cost heat.
Different types of mechs. You have your spotter drones for your indirect weapons. You have your repair bot to help get some hit points back.
Firing through buildings, tagging
Yep.
buildings, knocking them down.
Yep.
Amazing table presence, pre-printed,
Yeah, pre-painted
minis.
Minis.
Big, chunky minis.
Yeah.
So good, man.
You had
so
me
good.
at heat and cooldown.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Mike's
There
back
you
in.
go. He's back in.
He's drifting around that corner.
That's right. Railgun.
Whoops. Ooh, okay,
All right.
let's go to number 7.
Number 7.
Number 7. Mike, you played this one.
Played this game, haven't
A lot.
Yeah.
Yay.
Do you like it a lot?
A lot.
Yeah. Star Wars Deck Builder. Star Wars Deck Building game, the new one that just came out from Fantasy Flight.
2023 release.
Really solid. Mike, why don't you talk about Star Wars Deck Building game?
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
So one player plays the Rebellion, and the other plays the Empire.
What?
And of course, yeah, I know. So that's why it's a 2-player only game. Moving on.
Yeah. So it's not very realistic.
Yeah. So starter deck, you're trying to build a better deck. You're drawing from a community deck, and cards will face the side that can recruit them. As the Rebellion, you can't recruit Empire cards, but you can destroy them and clear the market and get immediate benefits out of them, which I have never seen in any deck builder. So I really enjoy that mechanic. I like how the force goes back and forth between the players. There's cards, of course, that moves that back and forth and makes certain cards very powerful, like the Vader card, for example, is much more powerful if you have the force all the way over on your side. I like how you're building out constructs or ships.
Yeah, your capital ships.
Capital ships that are coming out, and of course you got to destroy those before you can even attack the base. As soon as somebody's fourth base is destroyed, the other player wins. So you're trying to get through those capital ships, destroy those bases. What's cool is those bases all have their own unique passive ability, and you've got a deck of like 12 of them. So every time a capital ship gets destroyed or
Your base
the base gets destroyed, you get to pull from that deck and choose a new one. Maybe you want one with a lower hit points because it has a better passive ability, or you're just trying to soak up damage and you take the one that has the highest life. Yeah, lots of fun synergies between the cards. Really great game.
Yeah. It gets compared to Star Realms quite a bit because of the way some of the mechanics work, but that mechanic of having the cards that you can attack in the lineup is fantastic. Like, it's a super cool way to handle it.
I really appreciate the dark side can only buy the dark side cards, and the rebellion can only buy the rebellion cards.
Anybody can hire a bounty hunter.
The neutral cards.
It's very cool. I really appreciated that. I thought that was pretty cool.
It's thematic, and it also is a very cool way of breaking up the market instead of it staying clogged up the whole game. You can destroy cards now. That's really cool.
Yeah, so good.
Very good.
So good. So number 7, Star Wars, the deck building game. Number 6.
Number 6. Our number 6 is Boop, a 2022 release from Smirk and Dagger Games, designed by Scott Brady.
Yes, Boop is the cutest damn game you've ever seen in your life.
Yep. Also known as Boop. Well, its cousin.
Yeah, the Halloween version.
Yeah.
The Halloween version. So you got this little board, and you put a little quilted pad over it, and then you start it off with little kittens.
The board's the bottom of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put these little kittens, and they're booping each other off, and you're trying to get 3 in a row, which then make a big old cat, which can't be booped by the little cats, but it can be booped by the big cats.
That's right.
And then to win, you need 3 big cats in a row.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep, not there.
That's
it. But there's so much strategy in that. Place boop. Place boop.
Yeah, because when you put that one down, any
boops
cat
everything
adjacent
around it. Yeah.
moves one space
And trying
directly
to get
away.
those big cats to line up to each other. Boop. Yeah.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah. Good luck.
I do want to say real quick, just like a little bit more on this game. It's really fascinating because we got to learn at Gen Con, like we had Scott Brady on for an interview, and then we also had Kurt Covert, the CEO of Smirk and Dagger. And so Kurt, and I'm pretty sure Scott told this story too, but Kurt, when I was talking to him, was talking about how when he originally saw Boop, it was this abstract, like sort of Japanese Zen kind of strategy game where you putting down, like basically you're like just like a black pebble versus a white pebble, and they're moving and you're still trying to form the columns. And it had a name that I'm not going to try to say because I won't say the right name, but it was definitely more along that theme. And then Kurt's like, this is a really good game, but like we need a theme for it. And then Scott came back with the kitten thing, and then Kurt's like, that's mine. We need this. We need this game right now. And obviously, the box alone has probably sold that game.
Seriously,
hundreds of thousands of copies. And the gameplay is very straightforward, super fun, and it's
one of those
wonderful.
Low rule overhead with very thinky choices.
Yes.
Love those kind of games.
And only 2 players, so it goes fast.
2 players. Yep.
Great pick,
Cool.
Mike.
Yeah, good pick,
Oh wait,
Mike.
this was a
Good pick, group.
Our group pick.
Good
Well done.
pick.
All right. Give yourself a high five.
It's my last boot.
Oh, you gave. Oh, okay, I was
That's
like,
right,
what are you doing over there?
Here's a high.
Self-high-five.
So that's going to take us to number 5. But before I give you our number 5, how about a word from our sponsor?
This episode of the Board Game Rundown is sponsored by Weathervane Games, creators of Vrahode, Age of Prophecy, an adventure dungeon crawl for 1 to 4 players in a fresh fantasy world. Launching on Kickstarter, October of 2024.
Vrahode Age of Prophecy is the initial game leading into the huge 4-game series to follow.
Weathervane Games is working on 9 products, including the Vrahode 4-game series and 4 sets for their proprietary Harbinger 3D terrain system with which it is compatible.
To learn more, check out vrahode.com. That's VRAHODE.com.
Bob, that was more than one word. There was a bunch of words said
That was a
ad.
bunch of words, but weren't they great?
They were all amazing.
They were all
I like
amazing.
all
Every
of
single
those
word.
words.
I
That's
like
right.
words.
All of
Especially
the people,
in that specific row.
all of the people saying those things were my favorite people.
Yeah.
They even
They're
made
pretty
sentences
okay.
and paragraphs.
Yeah, usually.
Punctuation.
And that takes us actually down to number 5, which is Terraforming Mars.
Yes. So, not actually strictly a 2-player game. Kind of like GKR, also not strictly a 2-player game, but best at 2.
Best at 2.
Terraforming Mars, 100% best at 2.
A very good game, but very long with 4 and 5 players. Excruciatingly long at 4 and 5 players.
This was probably my biggest on this list because I'm not huge on Terraforming Mars. The deck is so large, and there's 3 of these cards in there that you want, but you're never going to see them because the deck is huge and you're going to see about this much of it. And I don't know. To me, that's not fun. I want to get through more cards.
Yeah,
I want to see more cards.
Yeah, pay for them though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Definitely play with Prelude.
Definitely play
I
Prelude.
enjoy Terraforming Mars a lot. But yeah, at lower player counts, it's just too
definitely better at lower
long
player counts.
at the higher counts.
I love playing
Agreed.
it solo, but I would agree 2-player. After that, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't. And if everybody knew, maybe 3 players, but 2 players is probably really that sweet spot because I think you're gonna get to experience the game. You're gonna get to do tons of stuff, and the game's gonna keep moving, which is. Again, my issue with Terraforming Mars is that it can get drugged down real quick. Lots of downtime between turns. So if it's just 2 players, you could really plan your turn out really well. By the time you're ready, you should be able to go.
Not too much is going to change on the board. It's going to I'm going to rethink my turn.
Right.
Yes.
Everything is going out the door. Right.
but play with Prelude. The rest are optional.
What is Prelude add?
That's basically
kick jumpstart.
beginner. Yeah, it's a jumpstart pack.
Okay.
Everybody gets new starting stuff, so
Okay.
it speeds up your early game.
Oh, anything to make it faster.
Correct.
Yes. I'm here
I'm
for
in.
it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Terraforming Mars. Really, I mean, obviously, classic game, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to take the controversial stance that 2 players is where it's at.
Yeah, don't play high player counts.
Number 4. Oh, this is a game that Mike and I are definitely very passionate about. And we're talking about Shards of Infinity. Holy crap, Mike, pound for pound, 1v1 deck builder, we're just going to battle.
It's my favorite. It's not even that close.
It's same.
And it's literally just a deck of cards. I mean, you've got a board to track your health and your mastery, but that's it. And it's just a card battler. It's Battle Royale. It goes up to 4, but this made our list because at 4, it really drags. At 3, I'd still play it, but 2 is the sweet spot.
Well, I think 3, you get a little kingmaker kind of thing there,
You can.
but yeah, 2.
But this is a 20, 25-minute game at 2 players.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, even if you go with a healing strategy, it's not going to go longer than 30 minutes. But I just love how every faction feels viable. The healing faction is very strong. The one that goes pure damage is very strong. The mastery strategy is very strong.
And that's faction non-specific.
That is not faction specific, but ultimately it is a insta-kill. There's one card you start with in your early deck that you don't call out because this baby, if you level up your mastery to max, it's an insta-kill. All you got to draw it, and all you got to do is draw it, and the other guy dies immediately.
I love that strategy.
It's a very fun strategy.
I will say, I think the Kickstarter on this just wrapped up, but there will probably be in the wild eventually all-in types of pledges where you can
All
get
the
everything
stuff.
in one box together and whatnot. I'm sure they'll have some for release.
Yeah.
That's what that Kickstarter basically was.
Right,
Was
get
'cause there
everything
were
together.
multiple boxes for this.
And I always appreciate, even having played the game, anytime you can get a base game and all the expansions in one box and everything together. It's
No, well, then now
Yeah,
you're caught
they-
up, right? You're
Yeah.
good to go. You're ready.
Yeah, because
One
they
of them.
made one basically added a short little cooperative campaign to the game, which I've played through a couple times, and that's pretty fun. So you're actually playing cooperatively instead of competitively against an AI. And then the other one basically added another faction, which was the red cards, which allow you this. The game also has a cool mechanic where the mercenary cards, where
Yes.
you can recruit it and use the benefit immediately, but you don't get to add the card to your deck. The red cards allow you to use the benefit immediately and add the card to your deck. So lots of cool combo effects you can get with those. So
Yeah.
amazing game.
There's just so much to that game. It's really good.
It's incredible for being a small box and essentially just a deck of cards. It's really good.
Again, 1v1's where it's at.
Okay.
Where
if you
it's
say so.
at.
Like,
Number 3. Number 3 is one of my favorites of all time, and it's Splendor Duel.
Yeah.
Splendor Duel really destroys base Splendor. I would at 2, yes. If you want to play Splendor Duel at 3 or 4, I'm sorry, you can't
do it.
But I always thought Splendor was better as a 2-player game personally.
Right.
And now they've improved it in every way possible. I would never reach for Splendor again at 2 players.
Right.
So Splendor, just a very simple engine building game where you're grabbing those gems and trying to buy cards. First person to 15 triggers end game, highest score wins. But Splendor Duel, instead of all of the chips being available at all points in times, when you buy a card, you're taking your chips and you're putting them back in a bag. All of the chips are sitting on a 5x5 grid, and you have to grab chips that are adjacent to each other. You can grab up to 3. So instead of them just always being available, now's that it adds this strategic timing element where, well, if I'm holding 7 chips and he's holding 9, there's hardly anything in the bag. So why would I refill the board? So there's this interesting mind game that happens where you're waiting to fill the board until more chips are in the bag, but you don't want to wait too long. You want first dibs when you fill that board. And even when you do fill the board, the other person gets a privilege token. Now is this extra thing where you can just grab a chip before your turn starts. And that could save you a whole turn. Sometimes you're 1 chip away from fulfilling a card. You use your privilege token, grab the chip you need, and buy a card in the same turn. So that timing of the board, the privilege tokens, the different in-game triggers, instead of just playing to 15, you either play to 20, you play to 10 crowns, which is a new icon on the cards. The crowns also are how you get nobles now. So instead of just going for specific
colors,
a set of 4 whites and 4 blue. Now, if I have 3 crowns, I get a noble.
Right.
If I get 6 crowns, I get another noble. If I get 10 crowns, I can win the game or trigger it at least. And if I have the most, I can win. Or if I have 10 points in one color is the other in-game trigger. So I just like the different ways you can end this game.
There's one thing worse about Splendor Duel than the OG version.
Can't play at 3 players.
Nope.
Yep. Nailed it.
I know what he's going to say.
The red and green gems are virtually identical, and it is super hard to tell apart.
It's weird.
It's weird they took that a step back, because in the OG version, the emeralds are very long and the rubies are very square.
They have a distinctive shape.
Yeah, and then in this one, they're just both kind of rocks, and the rocks both kind of look alike.
They're like globs.
Yeah.
And you look at it, and it's hard to
uncut
tell.
gem.
One glob slightly leans to the right, and the other one make it a defined shape.
Do you own Splendor Duel?
I do.
Did you mark your copy then?
Not yet. I haven't played it enough
Sure.
to do that yet, but it's probably going to happen.
And it's
Yeah.
a
So
weird...
been trying to play it. Sorry, not to cut you off, but we've been playing on BGA, and I have a hard time trying
Because
to
you can
calculate
hover,
it.
but even when you hover over certain cards, it doesn't tell you that that's red.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird because Space Cowboys is responsible for both. Of course, the difference is they brought in Bruno Cathala to help with the 2-player version, but you think they could keep that defined shape because it's the same publisher.
You already own the icon, just reuse
Overall,
it.
I think the art direction in the new one is better. It doesn't take itself as seriously, so I kind of like the cartoony characters.
I wish they would have
but
not
you're right.
repeated as many.
Slight. Yeah, and there's lots of
duplicated
repeats,
art.
like hand grabbing chips for all 4 of the different colors.
Right. Just change the chip color. Right, kind of like they do in like the Gollum edition for the you're using the same basic art, but the gem is a different color because that's the one that's being traded. So just tweak it a little bit, click and blue and
But
click
again,
and yellow.
Specific color for each one instead of just a glob that looks like the other. Small misstep there, but a great
Other
game.
than that, though, yeah, the game's fantastic, and the way it changes the rules for specifically 2 players is great. Like Mike was saying, that whole game of I don't want to refill, you refill. That's great. It's a good
the
tension.
game within the game.
Right.
Splendor Duel is fantastic. I will disagree on this very minor point where I kind of like the art for original Splendor better.
Okay.
But I just really almost like the painting style, you know what I mean? And some of the scenery, or like the things that they show. Like I just really like that.
Yeah.
Personally.
There's nothing wrong with the OG art.
But
No, there's nothing wrong.
But opening up Splendor Duel and playing it, I was never going, ugh, look at the art. Like
Yeah.
it just
No,
didn't.
no.
It just wasn't as captivating to me.
Sure.
But I was having so much fun playing the game that it also didn't matter.
Yeah,
at
and
all.
it's not that it's not It's good
It's
art
just
on the
different.
original. I just always think to myself, this is a very light game, and it has art that's taking itself a bit too seriously.
Sure.
I'm not gonna.
You know?
I will not. I
Like
will
how
not contradict you
seriously
there.
the guy is
Tim always takes
examining the
himself too
gem
seriously.
on the box. I'm like, wow, what kind of game is this?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
don't worry. You're not thinking that long. You're not thinking near as long as that guy's looking at that thing. You're just.
But Splendor Duel is better because it gives you a lot more to think about and builds on those same basic, very good rule sets.
Yeah, Splendor Duel's great.
Yeah.
But Bob, what's greater than Splendor Duel?
I believe that'd be our number 2 game, which I did argue for it to be number 1, but I was outvoted. Number 2, Sky Team.
Sky Team's really good, but I'm gonna let these boys go.
You know, the amazing thing is I rank Sky Team higher than Rebellion, but I pushed for. I just spoiled our
You
number
just
one.
stepped on it, but that's fine.
Ignore this. Ignore him doing this.
I pushed for this to be for our one to be higher than this, even though I like this better. Sky Team's
Same.
amazing.
Same.
Hachette, if you're not paying attention to Scorpion Mask, and
You should be.
and Hachette games, you should be. Every
Don't sleep on
year
them.
they have a Gen Con release. Buy their Gen Con
buy
releases
it.
because they sell out and then they're amazing.
Yep.
This was my favorite game that was released in 2023.
Yeah, same. It's a fantastic game. There are so many different modules with, you can add in the wind, you can add in interns, you can add in a kerosene or a kerosene leak, you can add in ice breaks, you can add in these different flight plans that have lean one way, lean the other way, clear these planes out of the way because it's too crowded at your airport. Like, there's just so much you can do with this game, and then it's the limited communications. And while it's still fun to be play like online, like a lot, like being there in person and you roll the die and just looking at them. Place the die because you can't talk. Yeah.
And then the other
watching
person-
them sweat coming down their
Limited
face, and trying to
communication.
spin out of control. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun, and it's just done so well. And you can just you get done in like 10, 15 minutes, re-rack, play again. And like let's fly someplace else. Let's do something else. Something different. And there's just so many different things that you can add to this board. It's fantastic.
To backpedal slightly for those that maybe haven't played it, Sky Team is a 2-player cooperative dice placement game where you're trying to land a plane.
Yep.
One person's a pilot, the other is the co-pilot, and essentially you're working together to land this plane. You got to get the landing gear out because a plane's going to crash unless
Usually.
the landing gear's out. You got to get the flaps out, because you got to slow the plane down before you can put the landing gear out. You got to hit the brakes, so you got to make sure you are hitting the brakes hard enough and you don't overshoot the runway.
Right.
You also got to make sure you actually hit the runway.
Yeah, at
it's
the right time.
possible that you're too short and you fly into the ground and don't even get to the runway. It's also possible you can overshoot the runway. So there's a lot of different ways that you can lose this game, and it's actually a lot more difficult than you think it is.
Yeah.
If you play the base game and go, well, that was a little easy. Try the modules.
Yeah.
Try the modules. And if you try the modules and still think it's too easy, play real time.
Oh my God, it's
play
so much
a round
fun.
in 60
God, you
seconds
sweat.
and then tell me
Yeah.
that Sky Team is still easy. It's a tough game regardless, but I love how when they force you to not communicate in this game as well.
Right.
You can talk before you roll dice. As soon as you roll dice,
Right.
no more talking. So
you can do a blank strike and be like, okay, we got to get the brakes down and we got to make sure we move 2 spaces.
Yes.
If we don't move 2 spaces, we're in trouble. And then once you roll, that's it. You're placing dice.
or
You're
let's
going.
get
No
that
talking.
traffic out of the way and then we got to move. But when you
Real
play
time is
real
so
time,
fun. Oh
that
my
communication is a lot more important because you can't be sitting there thinking about your
Right.
turn on your turn. You got to know
There's no
what you're
time
going to
to
do.
Give
Yeah.
someone the look
Yeah.
while you place
Somebody
the
puts
die.
theirs, moves theirs, the next person's already placing their dice.
Yeah,
and
you
if you do
gotta
it well
know.
enough, you kind of buy yourself time. Your last couple dice,
Right.
you can
Good.
think about it a little bit more. So you try to plan it out to where you already know what the first 2 dice are going to do. But real time is insane. This
fun.
game is so fun. It's so replayable.
Yeah.
I like how different people play it. I like the ways I can give nonverbal information in this game based on the dice that I've placed. It's fantastic. And yeah, I think it is my favorite. It is my favorite 2-player game, but I still pushed for another game to be number 1.
So, can you play this solo?
Sky Team?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Well, there's the flaw. There's no auto in Sky Team. Otto, the autopilot from Airplane. If you know, you know.
Good one.
I just really was like, please let it be that you can't play it solo. Please let it be. Just so I could get Mike to walk into that.
Right.
That's all.
Sure.
I just want to set that
We'll
little
just get
trap.
an inflatable person and sit in the chair next to Mike.
Yeah.
It's gonna blow up AI.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, most of Mike's friends are inflatable.
Well, that's true.
Ooh, it's time for number one.
Yeah, spicy number one it is.
Let's
Tim.
go. Number one is the granddaddy of all two-player games. It's the biggest, baddest boy on the block, right?
It's the most epic.
It's probably, yes, the most epic. That's
what pushed it.
That's what would push it over SkyTeam.
Yeah.
SkyTeam is fantastic. I do not have near the air miles log that
And what
these
is
guys
it?
do.
Not
Free
that
to
I
flyer
spoiled
miles. Got a
it.
lot of
But
those.
we're talking about Star Wars Rebellion.
Yes.
I know that's 2 games with 3 now games with Rebellion and 2 games with Star Wars, right? Because the trial of Louis Riel.
It wasn't in the title, but yes.
But he was a rebel.
He was a rebel, yes.
He started a rebel.
Hang on, let me do my
rebellion.
yoga so I can reach that and stretch
Oh
for
boy!
Tim.
All right, calm down. Anyway, Star Wars Rebellion. Somebody's playing as the Empire, somebody's playing as the Rebels, and the really, really awesome thing is the Empire has this deck of planets where they're sending the Imperial probes out to. Well, one planet is missing from that deck, and that's the planet held by the Rebel player, where they have hidden their Rebel base. So they've got a little board where they've got stuff, units that are defending the Rebel base. Should the Empire ever show up, there you can defend it. It's got this great sort of like build queue thing where you build your ships and your troops and everything, and depending on how big they are, they start further down this track.
Right.
So as turns go, they move down.
Right.
You've got event cards. So everybody, you're assigning where you're going to send all your characters,
leaders, yeah.
your leaders, and then you're playing cards to do the things that they can do. But you might be trying to abduct a leader. You might be trying to.
You can send Luke to Yoda to become a Jedi Master. You can free somebody in Carbonite. You can lure them to the dark side. You can do all the Star Warsy things you've ever wanted to do. You can do a trench run on the Death Star and try to blow it up. Like there's so much goodness. You can literally send the Death Star to a planet and obliterate it. And you know what? All the other planets in that system, they will fall in line.
Yeah, they do
Fear
flip
will keep them in
immediately.
line.
Yes. But as you clench your fist
right.
tighter, more and more systems will slip
through your fingers.
Yes. Oh
It's
my
so
God.
good though. Yeah, you have this whole timer that's going. So like one round you're recruiting leaders, another round you're building stuff. And like Tim was saying, depending on what planets you have, they'll populate your little recruit space on the side of the board. And then every turn they all shift down, shift down, shift down. When they shift off the board, you get to build them wherever you've got places to build them at, and you can try to subjugate planets with your stormtroopers. You can try to go out there and, like Tim was saying, like use the probes and do the probe. It's just. This game is so much fun. If you love Star Wars and the story of Star Wars, and like you want to play through the games, you can do that with this game. It feels so Star Warsy.
This like IP, like if you just want to play a game that absolutely feels like the IP 100%, this is the one.
Yep.
This is the one.
Space Cat and Mouse.
Yep.
And for those
Yeah.
that maybe that did not like the combat in the base
I was
game,
just gonna say this.
the expansion. Remind me what it's called.
It is the Rogue One expansion. I'm not sure if it's called Rogue One expansion.
not.
But it's
I got
the
you.
expansion. But it's what it adds. It adds a lot of the Rogue One characters and a lot of the stuff you see from that. And then yes, it fixes the combat. It makes it better. You still have these cards. But the cards are you can play the cards to help you in battle. But then if you have certain types of units in that battle, it'll have an increased like bonus effect.
Rise of the Empire.
Lies of the
Empire.
Lies, rise, same.
I mean, it's all
It
perspective.
has more troops that you can recruit too.
Yes, that's 2 different types of like troops for each side, which adds a green die, which has more of the critical hits on them that you could use to hit like any. Because you're rolling normally, the red dice hit red things, the black dice hit the black things. Unless you have crit hits, and the crit hits can hit either one. But yeah, man, it's
Fixes the combat.
so fantastic.
It's a much better game.
I love. I've been playing both sides. Like, it doesn't matter what
Yeah,
side I am.
yeah.
Like if I'm like the dark, I don't call it dark side Empire. I love the expanding and trying to find and hunt down the rebels. And when I'm the rebels, I'm like, am I over here? Am I over here? Oh, wait, I'm over here. Oh, I'm over here. Like, I love that cat and mouse, and you're just trying to move your thing up so fast, your tracker up so fast, that when the turn tracker hits your button, then you win because enough time has passed. You've lured enough star systems to your side.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
It's really good, man. Oh, it's so good.
I like SkyTeam as a better 2-player game, but Star Wars is a much better epic type of game.
It's epic.
That's
the thing. SkyTeam you could play every module 10 times in Sky Team that'll take you to play a game of Star Wars Rebellion. Maybe
And that's just setup.
maybe that's too much. Maybe that's like too much. But I mean, Rebellion is a much longer game,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more to it.
You could put 2 hours into that pretty easily.
Yeah, very easily.
Or 3.
Where,
Unless I'm playing as the Empire, then it's pretty quickly over.
yeah, because he's bad. I'm just kidding. Just Bob, don't hurt yourself.
Oh, strain my face. I frown so hard.
But yeah, man, the awesome thing is like all of these games on this list, I'd be very excited to do all of them at 2-player. They're just all really good, really solid.
Yep. We had a couple of honorable mentions. Right?
We do.
Yes.
One of the big ones that we talked about that I really enjoyed and it's 2 players only is the Mob the Big Apple.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit of territory control, area control, same thing. And you're like trying to build all your liquor up and defend it. And I just enjoy that era.
And it's got some cool tracks at the top
Cool
where you
tracks,
got that
the bits
push
are
and
nice.
pull.
Yeah,
where
the
you're-
push and pull.
Yes. Yeah,
I enjoy that.
We should mention, because Dan's not here, one of his favorite 2-player
Yep.
game is Watergate. I have not played
Fantastic. It's still good. It's really good because it has that where the reporters are trying to get all these clues and evidence, and you're trying to put them on the spatial part on the board where you have like the pins and the string going.
Oh,
here,
right.
And you're
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to connect like this one piece of evidence back to like Nixon and back out to somebody else in order to win. And while Nixon is trying to bury the evidence and take those evidence files and flip them over and blocking you from like trying to complete.
But
your
leaving
paths
off
and what's not.
but still seeding the board with like,
Yeah,
well,
but still seeding. Yeah,
over here.
It's really, and then it has another push pull on that one too, where
Sure.
it's like as you're playing each round, there's these little tokens, and then as you're playing your cards in your hand, you're pushing and pulling those tokens. At the end of the round, wherever those tokens are, they will get those bits of information and get to do things with them. And it's really good. It very easily could have been in the top 10. But yeah, Dan wasn't here to fight for it as hard because he likes it the most out of all of us. I probably liked it the most after that.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure that
I own it, but I haven't played it
And
yet.
I've only played half a game.
Yeah, and then I believe our old editor used to really enjoy that.
Yeah,
game.
he did.
Yeah.
He did. Yep.
One that I had pushed for is Gizmos.
Yeah.
It's a 4-player game, but I think it is just fantastic at 2. CMON published it. Phil Walker Harding designed it. What else do you need to know?
Win.
But no, it's very similar to Splendor, but this one just has combos for days. You're essentially trying to build up a point engine, cards that have points on them, but those cards also have these crazy effects on them. They give you more points, or what you're collecting is marbles out of this
Bin.
marble holder.
Yeah.
Dispenser.
The hopper.
And it's
We
got
always
a
called it the hopper.
dispenser.
Yeah,
It's
the
got a
dispenser.
dispenser, and they just kind of roll out. So you've always got so many available, and you pick one out, and then another one rolls out to replace it. But you can get gizmos that every time you pick something, you get to pull something out of the hopper randomly. But you can build up these insane combos where just buying a blue card can make you sometimes pick 2 more things, and you get 2 additional points, and then you can grab more stuff. It's
It's combo-rific.
so well.
Gizmos gives you the combos of Resurgence with the playtime of Splendor.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah, pretty much like that. Because I love like you can like file one, and like, oh, okay, I filed one, so I get to pull one from the rack. Oh, I
Yeah.
pulled a blue one. That means I get a random one also. And then when you go to build it, it's like, oh, I built one that was on file, so I get to pull 2 of these. And so like everything you do is just triggering all your other gizmos back and forth. It's like I never have to take a basic turn of just taking a marble because everything I do lets me take marbles. So yeah, you just try to combo like building turn into building turn just because your other gizmos are triggering.
Yeah, you
It's
can just
fantastic.
feed the engine,
I've
baby.
Yeah.
gotten to where I'd rather
Feed
play
me,
Gizmos over Splendor just because of those combo activations you can do each turn.
Yeah, they feel good.
Very
man.
fulfilling.
They feel very good. One we left off the list, but Bob and I absolutely love it. We left it off the list specifically because it's very hard to get. We're talking about Gore Chosen. It's a Games Workshop game. It is literally just gladiator battle.
Yeah.
You can play 4 players, and that's fine, but it is fantastic at 2 players.
It's a
And
great beat 'em up kind of game. Let's go.
it's just chaos and madness.
It is.
But super fun.
I love the way like the turns are done in that. So you have rage cards, and then as you do certain things, you'll add these rage cards to the initiative deck, and then you shuffle up the deck and you start flipping cards over, and whoever's card comes up, it's their turn. So like the angrier you are, the more likely your card is to come up. Then as you do big, huge attacks, you remove some of those rage cards out of the deck, so that next turn you're a little bit of exhausted. You're not going to do quite as much, things like that. But yeah, it's just some of the chaos and shenanigans that you can get up to, like pushing
awesome.
people into like spikes or into a pit.
Yeah.
Like it's just bloody, gory fun.
And if you're playing with multiple players, even when you're dead on your turn,
you can still like do
things still happen.
Just kind of stand up, swipe somebody's head off,
Yeah.
fall back over again.
Oh, it's so good.
It's just a great skirmish games. In my opinion, are usually best at 2 players because otherwise you do get into like the kingmaker situations.
Right,
and things like that.
right. I think we should also mention Seven Wonders Duel. I feel like after playing Duel, I don't want to play regular Seven Wonders anymore.
Yeah, I think you're the only one that's played that. That's why it wasn't on our
I
list.
haven't,
so
unfortunately.
you couldn't have 2 people vie for it. So.
Sure.
There's a lot of those. That,
Dual
like,
Store Island.
And honestly, though, I think I wouldn't, like, if you're looking at it with what would I take off my list to put on Seven Wonders Duel? I wouldn't take any of these off. Like, I really like the list where it's at.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to go with that logic.
My last honorable mention is a classic that I will always argue is a better 2-player game, and it's Five Tribes.
Oh, not that one.
Another Bruno Cathala game, but Five Tribes is excellent at 2. 1, because much like Terraforming Mars, it gets a bit long. 4, and this game can be very AP-inducing. There's really no way to plan ahead your turn because it's a Mancala game. All of the meeples in one area you're going to pick up, you're going to drop one into adjacent tiles. Where it lands, that's the action you take. But every turn, meeples are getting moved, so you can't plan ahead what meeples you're going to move. And then just trying to plan a turn is, okay, I got 5 guys here, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and do this action. No, not quite. Okay, or I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go over here. Well, what if I start here and there's 3 guys? Okay, I could go 1, 2, 3. So you can see a turn can start to get very long. So that's why I preferred it 2 because there's just not nearly as much downtime.
Yeah, 2 or 3, right? I think 4 is just crazy. Like, just don't.
And
it's
I
a great
really
game,
like how on a 2-player game you actually take 2 actions, but you get to bid for turn order. So it's possible to go twice in a row before the other player gets their 2 actions. And so that's why I actually think it's better at 2-player because that turn order system is much more impactful. I can go twice before the other person even goes once. So that turn order is really interesting.
When you said Bruno Cathala, I thought you were going to go with Lost Cities. Didn't he do Lost Cities as well?
Knizia.
Oh, Reiner Knizia. Dang.
Which is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, so I thought you were going to say Lost Cities.
Lost Cities is another honorable mention. I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm a big fan of that game. Again, just simple games with elegant rules that make you make hard decisions. I think Lost Cities is one of the best ever at that. It's just not as obvious which card you should play. Yeah, I got to play cards in ascending order, but what if I don't have a 2? What if I only have 5s? Do I drop a 5 down? Oh, great. How am I going to get up to 9 if I start with a 5? These are the hard decisions that you make on every turn on a classic card game. 1999 is that design, and I still think it's a fantastic game.
It's really good. Yeah. That's a great game. That's a great game.
I do have one more that I want to mention. It does play more players, but people complain because the downtime between turns can take so long. That's why it's best at 2 players, but Monumental is fantastic. It's a civilization type of game. When you just play it 2 players, you have this really neat deck building like grid. You put your cards out in like a 3x3 grid, and you're choosing a row and a column to activate, and you get to do all those actions that are listed on there. And it's a really cool like mechanism that I enjoy, that kind of like spatial deck building that you're doing, and then it's got civilization aspects also. And so those 2 things combined I really enjoy, and 2 players right now is the only way to play that, because you start playing with more than that, you're sitting around waiting a long time until they come out with they have an expansion, African Empires, I think it's called.
Yeah, I believe that Kickstarter is kind of controversial.
It's taking a long time. The thing is, though, they keep putting out updates. So as long as they keep putting out, it's like, hey, sorry, this has happened, this happened. And so they haven't like ghosted us yet, right?
Yeah.
So every month or 2, we get an update saying where it's at. It's still on the way. So
yeah, I mean, it'll show up, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's Kickstarter. They run long.
They do.
I mean, it happens.
They can. Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yep.
More often than not.
Yeah, more often than we would like.
Awesome. So I know we missed some guys.
Yeah.
So it's your job
Plenty,
to comment and tell us what we missed. What are some of your favorites? Also, though, hey, let us know what your favorite one off of our list is.
Yeah.
Because that always makes for
Sky Team have beaten out Star Wars?
Never. nothing beats Star Wars. Come on. Yeah, man. But really fun list. Really kind of a good opportunity to try to do it this way. I believe it was like Bob's idea. We were talking about it while we were sailing the 7 seas.
We were, yeah. We're like, well, if we do that, it's just going to be too much crossover. Like, well, let's just all talk about
Bob and I
one
would
list.
have had the same top 3.
Yeah.
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 So That's why we did it this way.
And I, not that there's not we could have thought outside the box and maybe found some more games that aren't specifically 2-player, but I felt like this was kind of a fun approach and a fun strategy. And also, I just kind of enjoyed the conversation. I'm like, okay, well, let's rank these and let's do this. And
why do you think that was better than that?
I enjoy the debate a little bit, that can go into some of that. And it's just a fun way to change it up, do a list a different way. So let us know what you thought.
Yeah, do you like that format?
Would you have rather had 30 games with some crossover?
Yeah. Would you
Lots
rather
of
have had
crossover.
22 games and 30 game list?
Yeah. 10 games in a 30-game list?
Yeah,
Or no, but yeah, let us know what you think. Also, we're open to suggestions.
Yeah.
But that's all I got, boys.
That's it.
Fantastic list. Oh, we should recap one last time, super fast.
Oh, sure.
10 is Pocket Paragons. 9 was High Treason, the Trial of Louis Riel. 8 is Giant Killer Robots, Heavy Hitters. 7, Star Wars, the deck building game. 6 is boop. 5 is Terraforming Mars. Boop. 4 is Shards of Infinity. 3 is Splendor Duel. 2 is Sky Team. And number 1 with a Death Star is Star Wars Rebellion.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for real this time. For the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Mike.
We'll see you next time.
And you can say the title's only 3 words.